The very best thing in wrestling may be the pop. I mean, honestly, that feeling even we as fans get when an entire audience goes crazy is just wonderful. Imagine what it must be like to actually be that wrestler. No wonder they get addicted. How can you replace that high? This is heightened even more so when it's a return pop too. They say absence makes the heart grow fonder, and that's definitely true in the world of pro wrestling. When a familiar face makes their comeback, there's always a chance everyone goes absolutely nuts. It will never, ever get dull. I'm Simon from WhatCulture, and this is the 10 biggest WWE return pops ever. Number 10, The Undertaker. Happening at Judgment Day 2000, in hindsight this whole return was just strange, but at the time people were over the moon to see The Undertaker back. Coming out during the Rock Triple H Iron Man match as the clock counted down to 0, a very old school Taker video with little girls saying, "He's here," made way for who he would soon known as the American Badass. In 2000, this made no difference to the live attendance. Everyone was over the moon that the Phenom had returned, even seeming to miss the fact he was riding on a bike, which wasn't exactly par for the course. Given he'd been away for 8 months though, we all wanted to see him back in the WWE ring. Personally, I thought the gimmick sucked, but what are you going to do? Number 9, Stone Cold Steve Austin. Austin's arrival on this list comes with his 2001 entrance when he stomped down the aisle effing and blinding like the old Stone Cold after his controversial heel turn at that year's WrestleMania. Now whether or not this turn was bad depends on the individual, but Austin was without doubt entertaining during this run even if fans didn't know what to make of it. What they did know though was that they'd go crazy if a slice of 1998 Steve returned, and that's exactly what they got when he stormed towards the ring to help Team WWE fight off the invasion. The evasion Austin received was ludicrous, with people that night turning the clock back, the only real shame being that he'd cement his original bad guy run a week later when he turned back heel again. Still, this moment is amazing, and it could very well be my favourite pop ever. Number 8, Hulk Hogan. Hogan hadn't really been off TV when he quote-unquote returned on an April 2002 episode of SmackDown, but it was the return of the original Hulkster complete with red and yellow clothing, and the fans lapped it up. It had literally been years since this version of Hulk had been seen anywhere, including WCW, so getting to see it here, especially as he was answering Triple H's challenge for a world title match, was so easy to buy into. It was like we were all kids again, and time had stopped. We all know this eventually led to Hogan becoming the world champion once more, which is absurd in hindsight, but all of this was the perfect storm, and we had the perfect reaction to cement that. Number 7, Triple H. There was so much helping Triple H when he came back on a January Raw in 2002 that it's no surprise the New York crowd went nuts. Not only was he a bona fide star before he was taken out with a quad injury, but we'd all seen and heard about his rehab journey, which was inspirational if nothing else. Throw in that he'd been out 7 months and this was a powder keg ready to explode, which it did that night. That roar when that first power chord hits is enough to send goosebumps up and down your spine. All of this also meant Triple H missed the invasion angle, which from a 2017 standpoint may have actually been for the best. Wasn't exactly a huge success now, was it? Number 6, Bret Hart. This one is just weird because Bret Hart wasn't even in the building. However, after his controversial departure in 1997, there was a thirst for the Hitman in the WWE for a long time, especially in Canada, and WWE were well aware of this. It's for the same reason everybody there also hated Shawn Michaels. Deciding to not fight this during a Raw in 2005, HBK went to the ring and outwardly called Bret out. The Montreal crowd went into a fit, and this doubled when Hart's iconic theme actually hit. The whole place came unglued, and I include myself in that. I was so excited. Of course, we were all idiots. This was just a Shawn Michaels ruse, and he had got someone in the production truck to play the music to wind up the crowd. Make me cry. So while this wasn't technically a return, the fans, and me, thought it was. Boy howdy, did they react accordingly. Number 5, The Rock. When The Rock was announced as the surprise host for WrestleMania 27, my gosh, the crowd went ballistic. For starters, this had been teased for weeks, so fans were already wound up waiting to see whose music was going to hit. And on top of that, it was Dwayne Johnson, someone who was now a major star in Hollywood. People had wanted to see him back in the WWE for eons, so actually getting to experience that moment sent them all into a fever pitch. It didn't stop when he got to the ring either. The cheer basically continued until he walked back through the curtain, and it's still impressive even today. Number 4, the Dudley Boyz. It had been over a decade since the Dudley Boyz last appeared together in the WWE when they made their triumphant return to Monday Night Raw in August 2015. Clearly being sorely missed as they made their living in TNA, having them come back in full mid-2000s garb and in their hometown of New York was all that was needed. The fans that night erupted with glee that Bubba Ray and Devon had finally returned. It was probably even better that they were coming after the New Day too, as it all just worked so well. It's a treat to watch over and over again, so you should go watch it over and over again right now. Number 3, John Cena. When John Cena popped up as number 30 in the Royal Rumble 2008, no one understood what the hell was going on. Tearing his pec only a few months prior and being told he'd be out for 6 months, Cena ignored all of that to return at the Rumble, and he won the damn thing. It was such a shock the Madison Square Garden crowd lost their minds simply because nobody saw it coming. It wasn't humanly possible, so how on earth it was happening was anybody's guess. It only took them a few minutes to remember who he was, and they began to boo once more, but it was lightning in a bottle at first. Great moment that will last a lifetime, and maybe the highlight of John Cena's career. Number 2, the Hardy Boys. Some people claim they knew Matt and Jeff were coming back to the WWE prior to WrestleMania 33, but even if that was true, the company did such a good job of keeping it quiet, it still caught everyone off guard. Thousands of people obviously felt the same way. Even better, they were actually going to have a match and came out the other side as the new tag team champions. All of this happened within the space of 15 minutes, and seeing Matt do all his broken universe mannerisms was just awesome. It's that initial reaction that really makes it, however. People were so pleased to see the Hardy Boys back. Made you feel all warm and fuzzy. Number 1, Brock Lesnar. Another return that just had everything that was needed. Brock Lesnar's comeback to get in John Cena's face the Raw after WrestleMania 28 is beyond great. Firstly, it was the Mania crowd, who are always super hot and excited for everything, so to see Lesnar, a man who had found success with the UFC and been gone from WWE for 8 years, well, it was too much. The crowd leapt to their feet when Lesnar's familiar theme hit, even though there had been some rumblings beforehand that this may happen. But who cares? It was like all your dreams coming true at once, and the fans shouted and screamed so everyone knew that was indeed the case. It's a shame what happened at Extreme Rules, but you can't change the past, because time machines haven't been invented.